y'all, this is May and welcome back to my channel for a brand new speed build. So today I am making a home for a couple of grandparents in Willow Creek as part of the save file I'm currently working on. As always, I do have a playlist up on my channel with all the builds I've done so far, so if you haven't checked it out yet, make sure to do so after this video. I'm never quite sure what to call this type of architecture we are doing today, but I'm leaning more towards calling this a New Orleans inspired home or a Victorian home of some sort. But do correct me if I'm wrong on that though, but these types of houses just remind me a bit of New Orleans, even though there are quite a few different types of styles you will find there. I've never been there myself, but I've seen some photos and a lot of the houses look very colorful even from the outside, which I think is really cool. So I think I'm going to call today's video a New Orleans inspired home, as you probably can tell by the title of this video. And yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the world of Willow Creek where I am building today was even inspired by New Orleans. At least I can tell by some of the default houses in the world that they're similar to what you would find in New Orleans, like the shotgun houses, bungalows, and the Creole townhouses. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that, but hopefully that is somewhat close to how you would pronounce it at least. And yeah, for my save file, I haven't made as many of these types of houses as I probably wanted initially, so I've definitely gone for a more suburban neighborhood style instead, with a few more modern houses, but with a few older Victorian styled houses, especially in the neighborhood today's build is in. All of the builds in this neighborhood are more older looking, which I wanted at least for this specific area, as I just mentioned. So next door to this one, we're going to find the Goth family's new house. I did relocate them to the bigger lot because I wanted more space for them. Their house definitely stands out in comparison to the rest, since it has a lot of darker tones, and they have a lot more flowers outside, since in my save file Bella Goth is a florist, so I thought a blossoming garden was a must for their home. As for the rest of the surrounding houses, they are coming together as well. The lot on the opposite side of today's build is pretty much done. I just need to edit the speed build and do the voiceover. But that house is going to be a haunted house. So the owner of that house was into, like spiritualism, and they recently passed and now a newcomer has moved in. So they're probably going to get a little surprised once they see the ghosts roaming around. That's at least the storyline I wanted for that house. And then next door to that, again, there will be a bigger family home, which is taking me some time to decorate, honestly, because are we surprised if I say it turned out bigger than I originally pictured? So yeah, that's a little update on this neighborhood, at least, that I thought I wanted to share with you before I jump into talking about today's build, which is going to be for grandparents, and they are going to be related to another family in my save file. So not that long ago, I made the house for the Jensen family, which is this cute suburban home. I love the soft green color. And yeah, today's house is for the parents of the husband of that other household. So there's a lot to keep track of here, I know. And if you haven't seen the speed build of that house, it might be a bit confusing, but I'll try my best to explain if there's like anything from that video that's relevant for today's video as well. But anyway, I wanted a more colorful house in this neighborhood, so we're going to end up with this blue, purplish kind of color on the outside, which I absolutely love. It's like one of the base game sidings as well, and I use the siding a lot for these types of houses, like the one I'm doing today. And I do think we stick with another color for a while, like this kind of peachy, creamy color, but eventually that's going to be switched out. As for the details on the house here, I use a lot of the Strangerville doors, windows, and fencing. They just fit really well for this type of style, and I go for an all-white look at first, but later when we change out the wall color, you're going to see that I chose to go for the dark blue shutters on the windows, and I think there's like the dark blue door as well, and I think those in combination with the wall color is a really nice combination. I also used the new base game columns on the porches here. I absolutely love that we have some more simple modern columns in base game now, and it's quite versatile as well, which I always do love. And the spandrels around the porches and the roof trims, I think they're called, are from the Vampires game pack. They have quite an intricate detailing, which I feel like also fits quite well for this architecture style. There is a small backyard connected to this house, and it has a side gate to the pathway going down the left side of the house. So I wanted that detail to make it look more realistic, I guess. And since I would imagine the grandma being a bit into gardening, I added some empty patches of dirt in the backyard so they can grow their own veggies and such. And then I think I just added a clothesline, or it might even be some monkey bars for when their grandkids come over. No, I think it was a clothesline actually. But anyway, I'm just doing some of the landscaping around the house. I wanted to keep it fairly simple this time around. And I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but at the front of the house here, there are like two porches, one on the first floor and another on the second floor just above it. I see a lot of similar details to that in reference photos of houses like this. Some of them might be on the side of the house, but a lot of the times you will find it at the front of the house actually. But I thought it was fun to do it like this instead this time. I did cut out some of the footage of me not really making up my mind regarding this house. That's why there's a jump from one look to another when it comes to the color of the house and some other like minor details. But we're soon done with the outside of the house, and we'll be starting on the floor plan and the interior design of this house. So I wanted the inside of this house to look rather classy but cozy, I guess. Like, it's a bit older looking, definitely not modern. I use a lot of the Discover University items in this house because I really like the style of those items in a house like this. And I feel like those items kind of fit the Sims who are going to be living here as well, since the granddad, Harold Jensen, he is a retired professor, so he was in the teaching career for most of his life, but you will still find some of his like diplomas on the walls and other clutter details related to his work. And since we don't have a feature saying that the Sim is retired in the career panel, I have used the, I'm not entirely sure what it's called right now, but like the self-employment feature or something like that on your phone. But at least you can create your own category of work basically with just a text. So I've done that for Harold and other retired Sims in my save file, so that it will be easier for you all to know whether an elder Sim is retired or not, and if yes, what they used to be or like work with or as will be like, it will be in the career panel for you to see. But yeah, Harold is currently living his retired life together with his wife of many years, Elizabeth Jensen. I was thinking I wanted to make a bakery for Elizabeth since baking is one of her big passions, and it just seems like such a cozy idea to have a cafe or a bakery run by an elderly woman who has a lot of experience baking, and she's just like very kind and, you know, generous. And originally I wanted to make that cafe or bakery in Willow Creek. I've had a lot of like different ideas surrounding this storyline, I guess you can call it. Like if I should make a standalone bakery here in Willow Creek, but in one of the more residential neighborhoods, or if I should have a small bakery at the first floor of their own home. Like all of these different ideas. But I think I have settled on using one of the Magnolia Promenade lots for her bakery. So Magnolia Promenade is the small neighborhood that we got with the Get to Work expansion pack. I think there are like 4 or 5 lots that are all commercial, since we did get the retail store a lot type with that pack. So that's what I imagine the neighborhood was primarily for. And Magnolia Promenade has a very similar environment as the one you will find in, for example, Willow Creek and Newcrest. So in my head, I would imagine they are somehow connected, or at least not that far apart from each other, like the places. So I have started planning a bit what I would like to do in my Magnolia Promenade in the future, One being making a bakery for Elizabeth, another being making a clothing store for Dina Caliente, another sim and townie in the save file. And since Dina is going to be in the style influencer career, I thought it would be fun to run a clothing store in her name. And that leaves a couple of lots still. So maybe I was thinking like a cafe or a furniture store, maybe a nail salon. I was even thinking of maybe having an elder home there, like on the biggest lot. But I think it was suggested by one of you not that long ago that San Sequoia could also be a good place for an elder home. So I'm not sure if I should do one for both of them or only do one of them. If the latter, then I think actually I'm leaning more towards San Sequoia, like having the elder home there. There's just something about the vibe of that world that makes me think an elder home could fit it. But do let me know if any of you have any ideas for what could be built in Magnolia Promenade, like besides the bakery and the clothing store. I would love to hear like if any of you have anything you would like to see there. And maybe I could even look into doing some lots there already in the next version of the save file. I have a lot of ideas for Brindleton Bay and Windenburg as well, which are the two main worlds I'll be focusing on next after the first version of the save file is out. So yeah, I'm excited to soon get started on those as well. I feel like we're getting closer. I feel like I've said that for a while already, but there are like not many lots left, and I'm just like slowly but surely trying to get through everything and setting up all of the Sims and like all their outfits and all the relationships and everything that comes with it. And going back to Harold and Elizabeth, they do have a son together, Philip, and he's living in the other house I mentioned earlier on in the video that's also in Willow Creek, along with his wife, Kiki O'Connor, and there's 2 sons. They're still only a toddler and an infant, but once they grow a bit older, I would totally imagine them staying over at their grandparents' house, since I'm going to include 2 smaller guest bedrooms in today's house on the 2nd floor. So the thing between Philip and Kiki is that they've gotten to a certain point in their relationship where things aren't necessarily going too well. I feel like it's all just become a routine, their romantic relationship is lacking, and they've started going to counseling. And I was thinking this is entirely up to all of you playing with the save file, of course, but if that doesn't work out, they might get divorced, maybe sell the house, and Philip will probably move back into his parents' house. There is enough space for it at least, so it's not entirely out of the question, and he actually doesn't have a job of his own yet either, since he's currently a stay-at-home dad. Meanwhile, Kiki is in the entertainment career as a comedian, and I feel like Philip would have a good relationship with his parents. He would probably go to them for advice and such, and that's how his parents kind of play a part in their storyline. And yeah, just in general, I thought it was a nice idea to have family members living separately in my save file as well, not only in the same house. It makes it a bit more realistic, but obviously not every household will have an extended family, even though that would have been really nice. More like the intricate, entangled family relations, if you will. But I will probably still expand on some of the families in the first save file to the other worlds though. That's at least something that I really want to do. Also, by the way, I have started using the Sunblind lighting overhaul mod by Softer Haze. So if you're seeing that the colors are a bit different from what they usually are in my videos, then that is the reason why. I've been seeing fellow creators using this for a while, and I finally jumped into it myself. The only thing about that's kind of tedious is that you have to copy over certain files into your game files folder for the separate worlds. So it took me a moment to get that done, but I'm really satisfied with the result. The worlds look warmer and less blue or gray like how the game usually does. But also important to note is that I'm still using a reshade preset, the original Dove preset by Kindle Spice. That is my all-time favorite, and it's the one that I always use in my videos. So I feel like the cherry on top for this preset is definitely the Sunblind lighting overhaul. So if any of you are curious about that, I would recommend looking up a tutorial on how to get started on it. And also, I just want to quickly say thank you for all the support on the start of my very veggie legacy challenge series here on the channel as well. I've never done a gameplay series on YouTube before, so I was a bit nervous about starting one. And sometimes I find myself spending a lot of time going back and forth on new ideas and actually sitting down and doing that idea. But I'm glad I did. I think I was just waiting for that one right gameplay idea to pop up. So I was excited to see that little Simsy created this new legacy challenge as a goal for her St. Jude fundraising. Last year, actually, I think it was, which she is also fundraising for this year again for the entirety of the month of May. And as always, she is just like kicking it out of the park. I think she has, at the time of me recording this voiceover, she has fundraised over 400,000 US dollars, which is like totally mind blowing. And she is just doing such an amazing job, honestly. And it's really inspirational for me to see, and I actually got the pleasure of meeting her briefly last year for TwitchCon in Europe actually, and she was just so sweet, which brings me over to the fact that I'll be going to Rotterdam at the end of May for TwitchCon again. I'll be there for like on the Saturday, like at the actual convention center, but I will be there for a few days since I'll have to take the plane from Norway to Amsterdam, then take the train to Rotterdam. So there's a lot of traveling back and forth. And yeah, if any of you are going there, then maybe we'll run into each other. I will at least be attending the Sims meetup outside the convention center on that Saturday, May 31st. And I think the time is at 4 p.m. So I'll probably be seen hanging around with my friend Simmer Sims, who is also going, who some of you might know as well from YouTube and other places. And there are also some other of my streamer friends and friends I've gotten to know through streaming who I'm going to be hanging out with. So I'm really excited to be able to meet everyone. And, you know, some of them I saw last year, but then some I haven't met before in real life. And I'm just really excited to hang out with everyone. So I also hope the weather is going to be nice and that we have a fun time together. And since I was there last year at the same place, actually, I kind of know what I'll be facing. I'm like that when I do things for the first time or go to a new place for the first time, I get anxious because I don't know what to expect. And there's like a lot of people and I feel like I'm all clumsy and clueless. But this time, hopefully, it will be better. So yeah, just wanted to mention that because I feel like I didn't inform a lot of people that I was going there last year, so I'm trying to do better this time around. So yeah, if you are going, maybe we'll meet on that Saturday. And going back to the build again, so first off, for the interior of this build, there is a small entryway with a staircase to the second floor. Then there is an archway on the right side leading to the formal dining room, I think I would like to call it. So it's just like a nice room with a big dining table and a small fancy bar with these like tall bookshelves behind there. And I thought it would be fun to use this big standing mirror from the Jungle Adventure pack. It's the one that's like leaning against a wall, and I placed it up against one of the bookshelves. I do use the tool mod to place it how I want it to, otherwise it would like stick to the actual wall. I do use the tool mod. It's like the window that pops up once in a while I'm building that helps me either size stuff up or down to elevate stuff or to move things around. But don't worry, if you don't have that mod, you don't need it either to download and use this build or the save file. It's basically just a handy tool that helps me build and to make things a bit more unique, I would say, and I love using it. It's one of those situations where if I don't have the tool mod installed, it just makes building a bit more difficult. But yeah, if you were wondering about that window popping up, that is a tool mod by Twisted Mexi. Also downstairs there's a living room which turned out quite spacious. I think I struggled a bit filling it out, but you know, builds don't always have to be cluttered or overly filled, so I thought if this was a realistic house, it would just be nice to have some open space. It gives it a better flow. And then attached to the living room is a closed off kitchen. It's got a lot of counter space and storage space as well, and I thought it would be nice to have a dining table in the middle of the room that's more meant for breakfasts, probably. As for the upstairs, this is where you're going to find all of the bedrooms. The main bedroom is quite large, so when you walk into the room, there is a walk-in wardrobe, I would like to call it. And then there is a study area with a desk and a bookshelf. I would imagine Harold and Elizabeth being readers, especially Harold. So I wanted to have lots of bookshelves around the house. Then there is this area in the middle of the room with some couches. I'm not sure if I'm going to end up having that there in the final version of the save file now that I think about it, but it's there for now. But at first I was like, maybe they would have guests over and have tea or something, but then I started thinking that might be a bit weird since this is their bedroom. So yeah, that was my thought process at least. I will probably make a few changes to this and a lot of the other buildings for the save file as well, for different reasons, because sometimes I go back to older builds and I get a bit nitpicky wanting to change stuff, especially if we have gotten a new pack since I built it. So yeah, but otherwise it is just like a standard bedroom, I would say. And just across the hallway from here there are two guest bedrooms which are meant for their family staying over if they would like to. But other than that, I'm just finishing up the build here and we'll soon head into the screenshots. So that's basically it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content in the future. If you want to be notified of when I upload a video next, make sure to click the bell icon too. This build is playtested and up on my gallery. My ID is honeymaysims, or you can find me with the hashtag honeymaysims as well. You can also grab the tray files in the description. A big shout out to my Patreon supporters and my YouTube members. I appreciate you so much. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me today, and I can't wait to talk to you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye!